Part 1. Introduction. 5 minutes. Opening. The Legend of the Old Master. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Today I want to take you on a journey through one of the most remarkable books ever written, the Ching, a short but incredibly deep text from ancient China, written by a man we simply call Laozi, which means Old Master. Let me start with the legend. According to ancient stories, Laozi worked as an archivist in the royal library of the Zhou dynasty. This was around the 6th century BCE, the same time as Buddha in India, and just before Socrates in Greece. Imagine having a job where you spend decades, surrounded by all the wisdom of your civilization. As Laozi grew old, he became disappointed with the corruption and chaos he saw around him. So he decided to leave, to ride west on his water buffalo into the unknown desert, leaving civilization behind. When he reached the mountain pass at the western border, a guard named Yinshi recognized him. This guard was no ordinary soldier, he was a wise man himself, and he knew that passing through that gate was a great sage. He stopped Laozi and made a request. "Master, before you disappear forever, please write down your teachings for those of us left behind." Laozi agreed. He sat down and wrote about 5,000 Chinese characters, a very short book by today's standards. Then he handed it over, mounted his buffalo, and rode through the pass, never to be seen again. That book became the Kartao Te Ching, which means the classic of the way and virtue. Now think about this, 5,000 words is shorter than the speech I'm giving you today. But for 2,500 years, people have been writing millions and millions of words trying to understand and explain those 5,000 characters. Kings and emperors studied it. Generals used it for strategy. Poets found inspiration in it. Ordinary people found guidance for living. Why? Because every single sentence is packed with meaning. As one scholar said, every word covers a complete concept. Every line contains 3 levels of truth, the 3 lines of interpretation. Over the centuries, people have read the Tao Te Ching in 3 different ways. First, as a philosophical book. Scholars study its ideas about reality, existence, and the nature of things. They compare it to Western philosophy, to Plato, to Spinoza, to Heidegger. Second, as a practical guide for living. People use it for personal growth, for meditation, for finding peace in a chaotic world. This is the Laozi of the spiritual seeker, the person trying to live a good life. Third, as a book of strategy and leadership. Emperors and generals have secretly used Laozi's wisdom to govern kingdoms and win wars. There's a famous saying in Chinese history: inside, use Huanglao, yellow emperor, and Laozi; outside, display Confucianism. The public face was Confucian virtue, but the real operating system was Taoist wisdom. And because of this third interpretation, some people mistakenly think Laozi teaches manipulation and scheming. But that's a misunderstanding. Laozi teaches naturalness, not trickery. As we'll see, his methods are about flowing with reality, not forcing your will on others. This, Part 2.0, the core teachings, 10 minutes. Chapter 1, the Tao that can't be named. Let's start at the very beginning, the first chapter. Here's what it says. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. Named is the mother of 10,000 things. Now, this is frustrating, right? You pick up a book to learn about the Tao, and the first sentence tells you that anything you can say about it isn't really it. Why would Laozi do that? Think of it this way. Have you ever tried to describe the taste of chocolate to someone who's never tasted it? You can say it's sweet, it's rich, it's creamy. But until they actually taste it, they don't really know. The description isn't the experience. Laozi is being honest with us. The ultimate reality, the Tao, cannot be captured in words. Words are labels we put on things, and the Tao is beyond all labels. It's like trying to catch water in a net. The net catches things, but water flows right through. But then he gives us a clue. Nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. Named is the mother of 10,000 things. This 10,000 things is a Chinese way of saying everything that exists, all the countless phenomena in the universe. So there are 2 aspects. The unnamed source was beyond description, and the named world, which is the world we experience, trees and rivers, joy and sorrow, birth and death. And here's the key point. These 2 are not separate. The unnamed source expresses itself through the named world. It's like an ocean expressing itself through waves. The waves are not separate from the ocean, but they're also not the whole ocean. Then Laozi says something even more interesting. Therefore, always without desire, observe the mystery. Always with desire, observe the manifestations. This is a teaching about how to approach reality. When you're caught up in desire, wanting things, grasping for experiences, you only see the surface, the manifestations. But when you can let go of desire, when you can simply be present without wanting anything, you start to glimpse the mystery behind everything. Chapter 2. The Relativity of Things. The second chapter develops this idea further. Everyone knows that beauty is beautiful. That's what ugliness is. Everyone knows that goodness is good. That's what evil is. This is profound. Think about it. If there were no concept of tall, we wouldn't have short. If there were no up, we wouldn't have down. All our categories depend on each other. They come in pairs. We tend to think that beauty and ugliness are absolute, fixed qualities. But Laozi says they're created by contrast. Different times, different cultures, different people have completely different ideas about what's beautiful. In some places, being thin is beautiful. In others, being full-figured is beautiful. So what's the truth? The truth is that our judgments, this is beautiful, this is ugly, are just labels we project onto things. They're not inherent in the things themselves. When we understand this, we become less attached to our opinions. We become more flexible, more open. This leads, famous principle. Therefore the sage acts without doing anything, and teaches without saying anything. What does this mean? It doesn't mean being lazy or never speaking. It means acting without forcing, teaching without preaching. The sage doesn't impose their will on the world. They respond naturally to whatever arises, like a mirror reflecting whatever passes in front of it. Chapter 8. Be like water. Perhaps the most famous image in the whole book is from Chapter 8. The highest goodness is like water. Water benefits all things without competing. It stays in places people don't like, low places. So it is close to the Tao. Water is amazing. It's soft. You can put your hand. Yet over time, it can wear down the hardest rock. It's flexible. Put it in a round cup, it becomes round. Put it in a square cup, it becomes square. It always flows downhill, seeking the lowest places, which is exactly where people don't want to be, because we all want to be on top. Water also nourishes everything. Without water, nothing grows. Water doesn't ask for anything in return. It just gives and gives. This is Laozi's model for how to live. Be like water. What does that mean practically? Be flexible, not rigid. When life pushes you, bend rather than break. Go to the low places. Don't always fight for the top position. Sometimes serving is more powerful than leading. Nourish others without expecting return. Keep moving, keep flowing. Stagnant water becomes dirty. Then Laozi expands this into 7 qualities of a wise person. Dwell with the right place. The sage knows where to be, like water knows where to flow. They don't put themselves in harmful situations. Think with the right depth. They don't just skim the surface. They go deep in their thinking. Give with the right kindness. They help others appropriately, not just randomly. Speak with the right trust. Their words are reliable. They don't lie or make empty promises. Rule with the right order. They create systems that work naturally. Do with the right ability. They're competent at whatever they undertake. Move with the right timing. They know when to act and when to wait. And all of this comes from not competing. Only by not competing does one avoid blame. Unspare. Part 3. Strategies for Living. 8 minutes. Chapter 22. The Power of Yielding. This chapter introduces a paradoxical idea. Yield and you remain whole. Bend and you become straight. Be empty and you become full. Wear out and you become new. These are called reversals, things that seem opposite to common sense but actually work better. Let me explain each one. Yield and you remain whole. Think about a tree in a storm. The stiff, unyielding tree stands firm and gets uprooted or snapped in half. The flexible tree bends with the wind and survives. Yielding doesn't mean giving up. It means surviving to grow another day. Bend and you become straight. Have you ever tried to straighten a bent piece of wire by forcing it? You usually make it worse. But if you bend it gently the other way, it becomes straight. Sometimes you have to go in the opposite direction to reach your goal. Be empty and you become full. A cup that's already full can't accept any more tea. A mind that's already full of opinions can't learn anything new. Only when we're empty, open, receptive, can we truly receive. Wear out and you become new. Old things make way for new. In nature, autumn leaves fall so spring buds. In life, sometimes we have to let go of the old to make room for the new. Then Laozi gives us 4 specific practices. Don't see only yourself so you become clear. When you're not focused on your own perspective, you can see things more clearly. It's like taking off blinders. Don't justify only yourself, so you become distinguished. When you don't constantly defend your own position, people respect you more. Don't brag about yourself, so you have merit. Bragging actually undermines your accomplishments. Quiet competence speaks for itself. Don't be conceited, so you last long. Pride comes before a fall, as the saying goes. The humble endure. All of this comes from not competing. Because I don't compete, no one in the world can compete with me. This isn't about being weak. It's about being so strong you don't need to prove it. Chapter 63. Handle big through small. One of the most practical teachings in the book. Handle the big through the small. Handle the many through the few. Deal with difficulty while it's still easy. Deal with greatness while it's still small. This is about prevention and early action. Most problems start small, but we ignore them until they become huge. A tiny cram, ignore it, and eventually the dam breaks. A small disagreement with your spouse, ignore it, and eventually it becomes a huge fight. The sage pay attention to the small things. They notice the crack when it's still small and fix it easily. They address the disagreement when it's still minor and resolve it peacefully. Laozi says, difficult things in the world always start from the easy. Great things in the world always start from the small. This applies to positive things too. Great achievements start with small steps. A huge oak tree grows from a tiny acorn. A great journey starts with one step. So the practice is, pay attention to beginnings. Notice when things are starting to go wrong and address them then. Notice when opportunities are starting to appear and seize them then. Chapter 64. The Journey of 1,000 Miles. This chapter gives us one of Laozi's most famous lines. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But the full context is even richer. What's still is easy to hold. What's not yet shown is easy to plan. What's fragile is easy to break. What's tiny is easy to scatter. Act on what doesn't yet exist. Bring order to what's not yet confused. Again, it's about early action. When things are still, they're easy to manage. When plans haven't yet appeared, they're easy to design. When things are fragile, they break easily, but that means you can break them easily if you need to. When things are tiny, they scatter easily, so you can eliminate problems while they're still small. Then he warns us about two common mistakes. Those who try to force things ruin them. Those who grasp things lose them. The sage understands this, so they don't force and they don't grasp. They let things unfold naturally. And then, therefore the sage desires not to desire. They don't value rare goods. They learn not to learn. They return to what people overlook. This is subtle. The sage has transcended ordinary desires, but they have a different kind of desire. The desire not to desire. They don't chase after status symbols and rare treasures. They learn a different kind of learning, not accumulating facts, but understanding how to let go. They go back to the simple things that most people ignore. Finally, the 10,000th things return to their natural state, but dare not act. The sage helps things become what they naturally are, but doesn't force them. A gardener can water a plant and give it sunlight, but can't make it grow by pulling it. That's the model. Part 4. Leadership and Government. 5 minutes. Chapter 17. The Best Leader. Laozi has fascinating things about leadership. The best leader is barely known to the people. Next comes the leader they love and praise. Next comes the leader they fear. Next comes the leader they despise. Think about this. Most of us think a great leader should be famous, loved, praised. Laozi says that's only the second best. The best leader is so natural, so unobtrusive, that people barely know they exist. When the work is done, people say, we did it ourselves. This is the ideal, a leader who creates conditions for people to succeed, then steps back and lets them take credit. The leader doesn't need to be the center of attention. They don't need constant recognition. They just want things to go well. Then he says, when trust is insufficient, there is distrust. If people don't trust you, they'll doubt everything you do. So build trust first, by being trustworthy, reliable, consistent. Chapter 57. Govern by not governing. One of Laozi's most radical political ideas. You govern a country with uprightness. Use surprise in warfare, but win the world through not doing. How do you win the world through not doing? He explains. The more restrictions and prohibitions in the world, the poorer the people. The more sharp weapons people have, the more chaos in families and states. The more cleverness and skill, the more strange things appear. The more laws and orders are displayed, the more thieves and robbers. This sounds counterintuitive. Wouldn't more laws mean less crime? Wouldn't more weapons mean more security? Laozi says no. because these things create the very problems they're trying to solve. When you have many laws, people learn how to get around them. When you have many weapons, people learn how to use them against each other. When you emphasize cleverness, people become clever at cheating. So, the alternative. Therefore the sage says, I do nothing and the people transform themselves. I love stillness and the people correct themselves. I engage in no business and the people prosper themselves. I have no desires and the people simplify themselves. This is the philosophy of self-sowness, letting things happen naturally. The leader provides a peaceful, stable environment, and people figure out how to live well within it. They don't need to be controlled or directed. They just need the space to grow. Part 5. The Mysterious Tao 5 Minutes. Chapter 14. Beyond Form. Laozi tries to describe the indescribable. Look at it but don't see it, call it indistinct. Listen to it but don't hear it, call it inaudible. Reach for it but don't touch it, call it subtle. The Tao is beyond our senses. You can't see it, hear it, or touch it. Yet it's real, more real than anything else. These three can't be fully grasped, so we combine them into one. Above it isn't bright, below it isn't dark, endless, unnameable, it returns to nothing. The Tao has no qualities you can point to. It's not bright or dark, not high or low, not here or there. It's beyond all opposites. This is the shape beyond shape, the image beyond image. This is the elusive and evasive. And yet, this formless thing is the source of all forms. This empty thing is the source of all fullness. Finally, hold on to the ancient Tao to guide the present world. Understand the ancient beginning. That is the thread of Tao. The Tao isn't new. It's been there from the very beginning. And if we can understand it, we can navigate anything that comes our way. Chapter 21. The Reality Within Emptiness. This chapter gives us more detail about what the Tao is like. The great virtue follows only the Tao. The Tao as a thing is vague and elusive. Elusive and vague, yet within it are images. Vague and elusive, yet within it are things. Dim and dark, yet within it is essence. This essence is very real. Within it is truth. This is important because some people think the Tao is nothing, empty, blank, meaningless. But Laozi says no, within the emptiness there's something. It's not empty like an empty box. It's empty like space which contains everything. Within it are images. All the forms we see come from this formless source. Within it are things. All the objects of the world arise from no thing. Within it is essence, the core, the heart, the most real thing there is. This essence is very real. More real than anything we can touch. It's the truth behind all truths. Then Laozi says, from ancient times to the present, its name has never left. Through it we see the beginning of all things. The Tao has always been here. It hasn't changed. And by understanding it, we can understand everything else. Chapter 25. The Four Greats. This chapter gives us one of the most quoted passages. There is something formlessly created, born before heaven and earth. Silent and empty, standing alone and unchanging, going everywhere without being exhausted. It can be the mother of heaven and earth. I don't know its name, I call it Tao. Forced to name it, I call it great. Laozi admits he doesn't know what to call it. He's just giving it a name so we can talk about it. But the name isn't the thing. Then he describes its movement. Great means passing on. Passing on means going far. Going far means returning. The Tao flows out, creating everything, but eventually everything returns to it. It's like a circle, from Tao to world, from world back to Tao. Then, therefore Tao is great. Heaven is great. Earth is great. The king is also great. In the universe are four greats, and the king is one of them. This is significant. Humans are included among the great things. We have a special place in the universe. We're not just random accidents. And finally, the famous chain. Humans follow Earth. Earth follows heaven. Heaven follows Tao. Tao follows nature. This nature isn't a god or a person. It just means what is naturally so, the way things are when they're not forced or manipulated. Tao is simply being itself without trying to be anything else. A third. Part 6. Final Reflections. 2 minutes. 3 Treasures. In Chapter 67, Laozi reveals his 3 most precious things. I have 3 treasures I hold and keep. The first is compassion. The second is frugality. The third is not daring to be first in the world. Compassion, caring for others, feeling their suffering, wanting to help. This is the foundation of all goodness. Frugality, not wasting things, being careful with resources. This is the foundation of sustainability, of living within limits. Not daring to be first, humility, not always needing to lead, being willing to follow. This is the foundation of harmony. With compassion, you can be brave because you're brave for others, not for yourself. With frugality, you can be generous because you have resources to share. With humility, you can lead because you don't need to dominate. Conclusion: living the Tao. The Tao, Ching, with these words. The Tao of heaven, no competition, yet it wins. No speech, yet it answers. No command, yet everything comes. This is the mystery. The Tao doesn't compete, but everything yields to it. It doesn't speak, but everything responds to it. It doesn't command, but everything follows it. For us, this is an invitation to stop forcing, to stop grasping, to stop competing, to trust the natural order of things, to be like water, soft but powerful, yielding but persistent, humble but essential. The Tao Te Ching isn't a book of rules. It's a mirror. It shows us our own nature if we're willing to look. It reminds us that beneath all our busyness and striving, there's a deeper rhythm we can align with, a rhythm of simplicity, patience, and compassion. Laozi rode his buffalo into the desert 2,500 years ago, but his words are still here, waiting for us, waiting to remind us that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, that the softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest, that when you let go of trying to be someone, you discover who you really are. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift of the Tao Te Ching: not answers, but questions, not certainty, but clarity, not a destination, but a way. Thank you.